One.
What up, sports fans? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Can Talk Sports. Before I get to my predictions, leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. But on to my predictions. The Chicago Bears will be going ahead and going up against the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. These two teams have the oldest rivalry in the NFL, and these two teams are also the all-time winningest teams in the NFL. The Bears have a 2-game lead over the Packers, but the fact of the matter is, looking at the Packers from last week, they struggled last week. They lost 23-7. The Packers offense looked bad. The Packers defense looked bad. Everything from every aspect of the game, the Packers just looked bad. Aaron Rodgers threw an interception, less than 200 yards passing on the day, and he and his wide receivers, they just could not get going. They had no chemistry. They just didn't look like they belonged out there. That team just didn't look like they belonged on the NFL field out there last week. The defense looked bad last week because they let Justin Jefferson have over 184 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. That could have been 4 touchdowns and 240 receiving yards. But the fact is, the Packers' secondary looked bad. The defense looked bad. Everything just looked bad for the Green Bay Packers last week. And that's just not something you saw out of Green Bay normally out of the past 25, 30 plus years as of right now. But the fact is they're coming off a bad loss and they're looking to beat up on little brother Chicago Bears. And they're thinking that this is going to be an easy game or an easy walk in the park. But I got something to say about that. The Bears had an upset victory last week at Soldier Field. They surprisingly played good football despite the weather. They beat a Super Bowl contender in the San Francisco 49ers, despite them having a rookie quarterback, but they maintained the same roster from last year. So that's, in my mind, is still a Super Bowl caliber roster. The Bears won 19-10 last week. The Bears played good despite the weather going on there. Justin Fields, he didn't have a great game last week. He had the pedestrian QB numbers of 125 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. It just wasn't a good game. It wasn't a good game for Justin Fields, but it certainly wasn't a bad game for him despite the weather. The Bears played very well last week despite the weather with the lack of penalties that they took. They did not let Justin Fields die back out back there in the pocket. And they made sure that Justin Fields and the offense just had good plays. The tight end position, they did not utilize the tight end position last week. They did not utilize using the wide receivers last week. And I expect different game plan for this week. The Bears, they got Darnell Mooney, they got Cole Kmet, they got Justin Fields. These are 3 young offensive pieces that the Bears have, and I think against the Packers, they can go ahead and have some success. There will be no weather to slow down the Bears this week, so I expect to see some points put on the board. I expect to see that the Bears get off to a faster start, and I also expect to see the Bears actually win in Lambeau this week. I say that the Bears are going to win 23-20 because I don't think the Packers are ready. I don't think the Packers look ready. They don't look good. And literally, like I said before, all aspects of their game last week was bad. I understand that they got blown out by the New Orleans Saints last week, or last year, 38-3, and they, went 7-1 after that stretch. But still, the Packers, they are extremely different this year. They're missing Davante Adams. Their offensive line looks injured. Their offensive line is very injured, very beat up. And literally the Bears can go ahead and take advantage of this. As long as the Bears play a smart game, as long as the Bears play a safe game, and as long as the Bears just play consistently good on all four aspects of the game, which is offense, defense, special teams, and coaching, I don't see why the Bears can't get out of there with an upset. I understand that the Packers have the best quarterback in the NFL in Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers struggled last week. He had less than 200 passing yards last week, and then also, like his wide receivers, they were just bad last week. Wide receivers were dropping balls. His running back was not effective. His offensive line was giving up sacks, and Aaron Rodgers looked duressed, and he looked very stressed last week. And I just don't think the Packers are ready. If this is the time where the Packers would lose to the Bears, it would be right now. The reason why it would be right now is because the Packers offense, the Packers defense, and literally this Packers roster is just simply not ready. That is why I am going with a 23-20 Bears upset victory against the Green Bay Packers. Like I said before to a few people, this would be the greatest birthday present ever. I don't care what anybody says. If somehow these suckers go into Lambeau, defeat the Green Bay Packers, and that would be just the greatest thing ever, right? I know there can also be a possibility of them losing. I know, not being biased, but I think the Bears are the more ready football team. They're the more prepared football team. They're the more disciplined football team. And right now, their time is now to go ahead and make this upset victory. And so, with it being week 2, I say the Bears are going to make the upset victory this week, 23-20. And with that being said, if you like this video, I'd like for you guys to go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you guys later. And with all that being said, go Bears, baby!